joke, I've been a money maker. I've been a record breaker, taking credit as an educator. I've been known to spit the flows and make it shaky, shaky thing. Popping, locking, stopping, let it hang. Watch us as we drop this hip hop, it's like it stings. We make a whole room drop and everybody sing. We want the funk. We gotta have that funk. We kick it old school, we think we're so cool. We take it back to the past, we gonna act a fool. Up jumps the middle finger, make my Jaeger just a...
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Sports Buzz, a Fanatical View. I am your host, Scott D. Lewis, here live in studio, Comcast Cable Channel 23, downtown Danbury, Connecticut, on this April 4th. A little crazy weather outside for a second there. A little thunder, a little lightning, some downpour, heavy rain-like situation. And I didn't think we were going to have my right-hand man here, but he was able to sneak away from his firefighting duties.
Just in time.
Just in time, and the director showed up just in time.
Yeah.
The beauties of live television, if you had any idea what was going on here in the last 5 minutes, you'd be surprised that we are here.
Yeah. We had 2 lightning strikes for fire department, and they put us on cover, so I was...
Right. But we did make it. Everybody showed up, and we're ready to go. That is my right-hand man, Mr. Bob Broad Jr. How you doing there, Bob? Ready for vacation?
Yes, I am. I'm ready. As I was saying in the NFL, what are you doing? I'm going to Disney World.
Disney World. Are you going to have to take a boat down there with all this rain? Oh, my God. Bob Show Spotlight on Tuesday nights at 9, Wednesdays at 12. Our director's in there, Mike Toohey. He just made it. Friday nights at 9 and Wednesdays at 1. His show, Expose Cinema. And, of course, we are live, 203-792-4101. And Bob has the kids with him.
Yes, the kids are in there working
Connor and Jenna helping out as well, so we appreciate that as we scramble to get ourselves ready. A couple things we'll just make mention as we started talking last week. Play for Purpose is coming up in about actually a month from this week, I believe that is. So May 4th through May 7th up there in Ridgefield at the Ice Arena there.
I plan on going.
Yeah, so it's going to be another great event for them. The 72-hour hockey marathon goes to great cause, helping kids with heart problems. And we know our friend Caden will be exciting. He's been a big part of it, and it was actually, this whole thing was started because of him. And the alumni, New York Rangers alumni, will be there May 6th at 5 p.m. So that is the Saturday. Silent auction also is taking place on that Saturday, 3 to 8 p.m. And, there's stuff going on pretty much all weekend. On that Saturday, I know they have like food and stuff like that. And they have their opening ceremony that Thursday night with stuff going on too. So if you know anybody who's interested, a hockey player wants to get involved, or if you just want to go down and lend your support, playforpurpose.org is the place to go to find out all that stuff. So we wanted to make sure we mention that. Of course, the Doc Gooden.
Yes, the doctor will be in the house.
He will be in the house. June 9th, the Westerners' 23rd annual celebrity breakfast. I saw Strawberry is speaking somewhere locally too. Coming up in Ridgefield. Is that
Ridgefield
in Ridgefield
or New Milford? One of the...
Might have been New Milford. But I did see, we should look for that and get that info for you. But I think that's coming up very, very soon. All right, we got the Final Four to get to, Bob. A champion has been crowned. Wasn't real thrilled with the final game.
I watched the, what are we going to talk about, men or women first?
Well, let's talk about the women first.
Because
do Mike a favor since I got those pictures lined up first.
I watched, at halftime, I figure, okay, UConn's, getting a little bit.
Yeah, well, they were down big early.
Right.
Then they came back, got it close, and then it was kind of just back and forth the whole second half. And it went to overtime, a little bit questionable call to get them to overtime with that flagrant foul.
I thought there was a little bit.
Yeah,
I thought
the letter of the law, perhaps, but at the same time.
But that ball looked like it. I don't know if the buzzer went off before it hit or.
Oh, the final shot?
Yeah.
Oh no, she made the shot to win it, but the flagrant foul to send it to overtime.
Right.
It gave UConn the 2 free throws. But here we're seeing the Mississippi State shot that knocked Lady Huskies out in the semifinal. 111 straight games, 4 straight championships. They were looking for their 5th straight. And really, it was kind of a surprising season because all those players left, and this was, by pretty much a freshman-laden team.
Yeah.
So the future certainly is bright.
Oh yeah,
it was a big surprise that they went undefeated this year. They knocked off a bunch of the top teams on the way. You know that they never, they never back away from that sort of thing. So they were there, and it was pretty impressive. But Mississippi State came up with the goods and got it done. And Gino Auriemma really handled it well.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a great moment for Mississippi State. It was a great moment for sports in general.
Right.
And the Huskies can't win it every year.
Like he was saying that him and the coach from Mississippi State, they're both friends. They're good friends.
Right. So really he handled it very well. And the women will be back next year. I mean, they'll be the favorite to win it next year. So I thought it was a great moment overall. I mean, of course, you'd like to see them, I guess, win every year. But, I mean, they've got plenty. I think it's good for the sport that happened. And it was a great moment for Mississippi State to get that big shot in the win in overtime. Speaking of UConn sports and basketball, Bob, what is going on with the men? 3 transfers out.
Yeah, I know. I saw
coming up here, and 1 recruit asking out of his commitment.
Yeah.
So that's 4 players. Kevin Ollie, on the heels of back-to-back bad seasons, they did make the tournament last year after a late season run.
Can we bring Calhoun back as like an advisor to maybe help out?
Well, that's the thing. When they won the championship, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, look at this! How good was Calhoun if Kevin Ollie can win right away?" Well, the fact of the matter was that those were all Calhoun's players,
right?
And Calhoun was at every one of those practices and at every one of those games, and he had his fingerprints on that team entirely,
right?
And he was really still overseeing the program then. He's not so hands-on anymore.
No.
And all of a sudden now, not only are they losing, but they're losing players.
Yeah, which is
not a good sign for Kevin Ollie.
That puts a very
so we're gonna have to keep our eye on that. Kevin Ollie's going to be on the clock. I would think the UConn faithful will not stand for another losing season next year, especially if players do not want to come here. Is it the players that are here are transferring out are seeing themselves from him? Does it have anything to do with them not being in the Big East? They're not getting the big TV games that they're accustomed to? Because that was always the biggest recruiting factor for UConn. Huge TV games,
right?
The Big East tournament at Madison Square Garden, and all that stuff. Plus, a lot of their players going pro,
right?
And that was a big recruiting tool as well. So interesting thing to keep track of. Another interesting thing. How about Georgetown dipping into the well, going to Patrick Ewing for the head coach?
Yes, I saw this.
Shocking news that they fired JT3, John Thompson III. But they keep JT the second happy by hiring Patrick Ewing.
And Ewing says that I want to come back for my
alma mater. Yeah, he said it was alma mater that got him because he's been toiling away as an assistant, wanting to get a chance in the NBA as a head coach, and that has not been happening. And here he is getting his chance to go back to Georgetown. All right, so the Final Four, the championship game on the men's side, poorly played and even worsely officiated. The officiating was an abomination.
Was the worst I've ever
They did not let the kids play at all in the game, in the final there. All right, hold on a second. Mike's getting out of control. Mike, stop the presses.
Uh-oh.
Let's get right to it, Mike. Cue up track 8. CBS has their, one final shining moment. We're just going to go right to it. The pictures of the tournament. We started this last year. We're going to try it this year. You can start where you were just about to start there, Mike. Whenever you're ready, roll all the pictures and our boy Fatty Roots with the music in the background. I'll bow out. Fatty Roots was sounding pretty good there, Bob.
Yes, he was. So
nice job, Mike.
We were just talking during the...
Yes, Fatty Roots is going to be playing at the Ancient Mariner in Ridgefield in a couple weeks. April 23rd, I believe that is. A couple Sundays from this week, I think. Towards the end of the month. So I'll talk about it again before then. But if you like the music, want to check out some reggae on a Sunday afternoon up at the Ancient Mariner, go on and check it out. All right, so we got the pictures. Every 1 shot per game, couple from the championship. So the championship game, though, Bob, they didn't let the kids play at all.
No,
too many fouls. Gonzaga was in foul trouble throughout the game. They couldn't get into any rhythm at all.
Right.
And, they just weren't able to establish anything. They shot terribly. Both teams did. North Carolina is the champion, but wow. Unbelievable poor shooting percentage by them. And, the same thing in that Oregon game as well. Oregon couldn't buy a basket, yet they somehow still managed to only lose the game by 1.
I know.
So, how good is Carolina if these teams are going against just were terrible?
Right.
And it was interesting, though, to see UNC, they did it down 5 against Arkansas.
Right.
Refs aided them there, but they went on the 12-0 run to finish it. Down 5 against Kentucky. They went on a 12-0 run to reestablish the lead. Kentucky did respond and cut that, down. And then down by 2 late against the Zags. They get an 8-0 run to finish it. So they finished strong in every single one of these games. Now, besides the hideous calls that put the game, make it into the unwatchable zone with all the fouls and the kids being on the bench, not being able to play, the kid Collins fouling out, that was horrible. Really ruined Gonzaga's chances. You can put all that aside and still you get to the point at 45 seconds left when it's a 1-point game and Carolina misses, Gonzaga forces the miss.
Right.
And then the ball is going, there's a loose ball and they give a jump ball to Carolina even though Carolina's player was clearly out of bounds.
Right.
And it should have been out of bounds. His hand, literally was on the foot of the ref who was standing right there on the out of bounds line. I saw it live. CBS did a terrible job. They did a terrible job all game. They didn't show any of the questionable call replays. They never highlighted the fact that these calls were hideous. And then on that play, they didn't even point it out that the kid was out of bounds. It should have been Gonzaga's ball, down 1 with 45 seconds left, which is a huge difference from then ultimately being down by 3 because Carolina scored when they got the possession on the possession arrow on the jump ball, and they get it back with 25 seconds left. So that changes the entire game. It's just really ridiculous. Poor ending to what was a decent tournament overall. Not a great tournament, but a decent tournament. A lot of the games ended up being close in the Sweet 16, Elite 8, and Final 4. But I would really like to see a better played game and the officials removing themselves from the game instead of taking over. But great job by Gonzaga getting to the championship game and to the Final Four, first time ever for them. Oregon and South Carolina put up great efforts as well. The South Carolina-Gonzaga game, how about that 16-0 run by South Carolina?
That was great.
Yeah, just crazy. And Gonzaga responded there. Looked like they were going to respond to all the fouls in the North Carolina game as they hit a couple big shots late, but the out-of-bounds call really turned the tide, and they weren't able to respond after that. And also their star player rolling his ankle after hitting, 2-3 shots in a row, big-time shots by him, and he rolls his ankle, stays in the game, and tries to gut it out, but he couldn't get the winning shot late. So North Carolina gets their 6th championship, 3 for Coach Roy Williams. And again, very little said about the, academic fraud situation that went on for 15 to 20 years.
That's
still being under investigation, I guess. But, they won't be able to take it away, I guess. I don't know. All right, so we will wrap it up with the basketball college portion of the show, and we will turn the page now to what should have been a marquee matchup in the NBA last night.
Yeah, but it didn't quite work that way.
It was bad, Bob. It was so bad. I turned it off at halftime. I knew this game, You know, when you give up 9 offensive rebounds in the first 15 minutes of the game to the opponent,
you know something's wrong.
It's like, am I really going to sit here and watch this game? I mean, really, I worked too hard to have my night completely ruined by lack of effort by the Boston Celtics in a battle for the #1 seed in the East. You know, they had it for a while. The Cavs came in tied into Boston last night. With 4 games remaining, and they put the smackdown 114-91. I had a feeling Cleveland would win this game. You know, a lot of this late season drama with Bron and his teams, it always happens.
He's got to have his king.
You know, they got to lose a bunch of games, make a little bit of drama, make things interesting for the league. And he cracks the whip and, you know, starts doing his Bron stuff that he does, and then all of a sudden, you know, they end up the #1 seed anyways.
Do you have an elbow shot?
I know there was elbow shots in the game. I couldn't find a photo, surprisingly. So they moved to 51-27. So they are now 1 game up for the #1 seed in the East. The Celtics at 50-28. At the bottom of the bracket, Chicago, Miami, and Indiana at 38-40. 2 of those teams will get in. 1 will not. Although I guess it's a possibility that Atlanta at 39-38 could fall all the way out. Celtics are at Atlanta tonight, as a matter of fact. So they're the 6th seed right now, but Chicago, Miami, and Indiana fighting for the 7th and 8th seed at 38-40, all tied with 4 games left. Milwaukee has put a little distance ahead of them at 40-38. They are the 5th seed. Wizards 4th at 37-31. Toronto, the team that I think will ultimately be the one to challenge Cleveland in the East. I do not, unfortunately, think the Celtics will be that team. The Wizards possibly, but they don't play enough defense for my liking. Toronto at least plays defense, has 2 marquee guys. The Wizards have a marquee backcourt as well.
They've been good all year. They've had a great season. So
we'll see what happens in the East, how that shakes out once the playoffs start a week from this weekend. So we got a week and a half of the regular season left, 4 games. So it's undetermined who will be playing who. So we can't, you know, a lot of could be shaken up there. The Celtics could play Chicago, they could play Miami, they could play Indiana, they could play Atlanta. We don't know. I don't think they'll play Charlotte, who's on the outside looking in right now. Our boy King Kemba. They won 5 in a row recently to get themselves back in the mix, but they did lose a crucial one the other night. So I think they got a little bit too far to climb, but maybe we'll see. In the West, the really only thing that's being fought for right now is the 8th seed out there. Portland at 38-40, Denver at 37-41. Warriors, how about this, Bob? Winners of 13 straight without Durant. Remember, they lost a bunch of games when Durant went down, and everybody was thinking that they were going to lose the #1 seed. The Spurs would overpass them. But no, they win 13 straight, and Durant is healthy and cleared to play coming back this weekend before the playoffs. So the Warriors, I think, will be ready to go and probably the favorite to win it all. Will we get for the first time ever, the first time the same teams battle for the championship 3 years in a row. It's never happened before. Will Cleveland face Golden State again in the finals? I don't know, but we'll find out. It's the Spurs, Houston, Utah, very impressive. They are back in the playoffs at 48-30, and the Clippers at 48-31. That's another thing to keep your eye on. Who will have home court advantage in the 4 versus 5 matchup that will be Utah and the Clippers. OKC, how about Russell Westbrook tied the Big O, Oscar Robertson's record for most triple-doubles ever in a season. Westbrook did that. He's got 4 games to go to break that record. Will he be the MVP, or will Harden be the MVP? And Memphis is the other team left in the 8 that will be in the West. Portland and Denver, the only 2 teams undetermined right now. The other teams pretty much have it all wrapped up. Speaking of wrapping it up, Bob, how about my Boston Bruins?
Yeah, they're doing...
Winners of 6 straight. They clinch it the other night with a beatdown at Tampa Bay. And Tuukka Rask's 8th shutout of the season. We see that picture right there, Marchand with the stick to the midsection. The ruling came down today. That is going to cost him 2 games. So the final 2 games of the season, he will be out for that spearing penalty he took the other night. So that could hurt them as they also try to determine where they'll be seated,
right,
and who they will end up playing. We're not sure. They are home against the Senators right now as they're battling with them. They're tied for the second seed in their division right now at 94 points. And that was an interesting shot. How about that? I mean, we know how old Jágr is.
Yeah, I mean, he is.
Zdeno Chara at 40 years old. I found this out. He still leads the Bruins for minutes played per game.
Wow.
Unbelievable. Chara, and he had a big power play goal in that win the other night against Tampa Bay, which may have knocked Tampa Bay out. Toronto at 93 points, one behind Ottawa and Boston. Tampa Bay and the Islanders at 88.
Yeah.
So with only 3 games left, they have 88 points, 5 points to make up. Not mathematically eliminated, but that is a tall order for Tampa and the Islanders to get in. It looks like they will be out. I would think Toronto will hold on to get in there.
Okay.
Speaking of suspensions, though, Sid the Kid, how about the penalty he took the other night, slashing, where he literally took the tip of a finger off a player. I forget which team that was. Ottawa, it might have been.
Ottawa. I think it was Ottawa.
And he did not get suspended, although Marchand, with the spearing penalty, gets 2 games. Sidney Crosby, 0 for literally taking the tip of a finger off a player.
We can't do anything to Mr.
The thing I'll say about your Rangers, Bob, that I'm worried about.
What's that?
They've been locked into this, wild card spot. They really have had no chance to move into the top 3 in the Metro. So they have not been threatened at all to miss out on the playoffs.
Right.
So they've been playing meaningless games for quite a while.
I know.
That's a little concerning if you ask me. Washington, Pittsburgh, Columbus, and Montreal are the other teams in the East that are clinched. Out West, it's Chicago, Minnesota, St. Louis, Anaheim, Edmonton, San Jose, Calgary, and Nashville are in the NHL playoffs. So baseball got underway this week.
My Mets.
Are they that big a thumbs up? 1-1, right?
1-1, but hey,
they got beat by your boy Bartolo Colon last night.
I know. It went 12 innings.
How about this for an interesting stat? Where's Strangeman when you need him? Bartolo Colon lasted longer than Turner Field.
Yeah.
He started his career in baseball the year that Turner Field was opened.
Yep.
Turner Field is closed. He's playing for the Braves now in their new stadium.
43 years old and still going
And
strong.
Turner Field is closed.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Mets 1-1. Red Sox 2-0. Chris Sale got the win last night. I think they probably got rained out today. Yankees 1-2. Starting pitching not so good. Tanaka and Pineda shaky for the Yankees as they went 1-2 in their opening series in Tampa. Baltimore, Cleveland, Minnesota, Houston, and Detroit undefeated to start in the American League. Nationals, the only team undefeated in the National League. So interesting right there.
Speaking about baseball, I see in today's post, Mr. Jeter wants to buy the Marlins.
Really?
Yes.
That would be interesting. Well, he always said he wanted to be an owner, so that makes sense. The Masters got underway today. Real big blow for the golf community as DJ Justin Johnson slipped and fell on the stairs yesterday, hurt his back, the #1 player in the world, out of the Masters before it even started.
Right.
Crazy. Jordan Spieth looking to shake up the ghost of last year's collapse.
Right.
He put up a 9 on 15 today. The ghost might be real as he goes plus 375 to start his round. He scrambled to keep himself in it. Phil and Sergio at -1. The leader when I came in was at -3. So I'm not sure, but they are, got off to a pretty good start. Phil did as at least Rory at +3. Jason Day with the heavy heart, dealing with his mother and the cancer surgery, but he's at +2. So that's the Masters. We've still got a couple minutes. I'm going to mention a little bit of soccer. Revolution trying to get their season on track. 1-2-1. They had a tie out in Portland the other night, so that was a good performance by them against the top team out on the west side of the arena in MLS action. Your NYFC is in third place at 2-1-1 with 7 points, and the Red Bulls in fourth at 2-2-1 at 7 points. So, I'm looking for the Revolution to bounce back this year. They missed the playoffs last year after making it to the MLS Cup championship the year before. So hopefully they can get it back and back in the mix. We got about a minute left. Bob is off on vacation. The way the weather is here, we're all very jealous.
I will try to call next week from Florida, and I'll tell you how nice and sunny it is.
I think we're all going to take a vacation next week. We'll be off next week. Mike can't be here, so I will just bow out and let you enjoy your break off, and you don't have to call and rub it in our face. We'll probably still be dealing with bad weather up here. Spring, please. Bring us some nice weather. That would be nice.
Send some nice weather up to here.
I mean, what do you think? We only got a few seconds left of your Mets. Are you optimistic? They are?
No, I think they're going to go all the way this year.
You think they're going all the way? All right. And you like your Rangers' chances in the playoffs?
That's a little shaky.
All right, we are out of here. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Take care, everybody.